It's not worth your time to chase her around trying to prove your worth when the real power move is to be quiet. Every day she goes without you, without your presence, attention, or approval, it gets under her skin a little more. The happiness she used to feel starts to fade, replaced by an emptiness she can't quite explain. See, time doesn't just pass, it exposes everything she tried to ignore when she left, and the longer you stay quiet, the more that silence turns into a mirror that forces her to see the truth. You weren't just an option. That video today had a prize for you. I'm going to show you piece by piece how time breaks her when you choose quiet over begging, self-respect over desperation, and inner presence over the fear of speaking out. Not to get back at her, but to show her the kind of power that makes her question everything, not because you played a trick, but because you became the man she never thought she'd lose. Let's go. Time. Your silent friend in the first time you're quiet alley. When you step back, you don't have to argue, explain, or justify. You just let time do what it does best, which is create space. And space is powerful because in that silence, her mind starts working overtime. At first, she may have felt relieved or thought this was what she wanted, but as the days turn into weeks, something changes that silence. The silence you created by stepping back becomes louder than any words you could have spoken. She starts to wonder why you're not chasing her, why you're not trying to win her back. That silence forces her to face something uncomfortable, the reality of your absence. A Stoic man knows this well. You have no control over how she feels, what she thinks, or whether she realizes what she lost. That's her path to take, not yours. What you do control, and what a Stoic always returns to, is how you react. What you do, how you think, and how you grow, that's your area of expertise. Let it go, but most guys don't like this part. In this case, missed time is not your enemy, it's your best friend. Time does the hard work for you, Ali. It reminds her of who you are when you're not there to show her. It shows her what life is like without your presence, your strength, your stability. And it's in that absence that her mind starts to fill in the blanks. She remembers how you made her feel safe, how your calmness anchored her chaos, and how your presence felt like home. Let time break her. Not because she was angry or hurt, but because reality always comes back when a guy who added value to her life suddenly leaves. It's not easy for her to fill the void he leaves behind. She may try distractions, attention from others, and short-term thrills, but they will wear off eventually, and when they do, the silence you left behind will be painful. This is when Stoicism comes in handy. You don't react, chase, or break under the weight of her silence because you know that her silence is her own battle. Your work is different. It's mastering yourself, building your mind, strengthening your spirit, and staying grounded no matter what storms come through your life. Let time break her while you build yourself, because the truth is that the man she never forgets is the one who walks away with honor, discipline, and quiet strength. Number 2, emptiness grows louder in the beginning. She might feel strong, she might even feel relieved, like a weight has been lifted. She might tell herself that this is what she wanted. She thought she knew the person you were before you left, but the silence you left behind grows and spreads. At first, it's just a quiet space that she barely notices, like walking into a room after someone has left, but over time, that silence stops feeling peaceful and starts feeling empty. It's in that space where your presence used to be your voice, your energy. If you feel like your security is empty, she can't fill it. That's why time is your best friend. Ali, that silence is easy to sit in for a man who has control over his feelings and knows his own worth. You don't need attention to confirm who you are or constant reassurance to feel safe. That is the power of self-mastery. Your sense of self doesn't depend on her being there, what she says, or her praise. It depends on her silence. It works differently on her because she was used to having you there, even if she pushed you away. Even if she thought she wanted room, she was still used to having you there. Now that you're gone, the silence starts to echo. Every quiet moment is a reminder that you're not there. Her phone doesn't light up. There's no message from you checking in. There's no steady presence to ground her day. The silence reminds her that you're not there. And the longer it lasts, the louder it gets. It forces her to sit with her own thoughts, her own fears, her own mistakes. When other people fill the void with distractions, a Stoic man welcomes it because silence isn't emptiness. It's space to reflect, grow, sharpen your mind, and strengthen your resolve. While she does this, you use the silence to understand that it's where true strength is forged, clarity emerges, and you learn to rely only on yourself. Join us as we explore the powerful effects of silence and self-mastery. Remember that your path through Stoicism isn't just about observing, it's also about participating and growing. If this message speaks to you, or if you want to share your own thoughts and experiences, please like this video, leave a comment below, or just type "silence strengthens" to show your connection to this deep strategy. Your participation not only helps spread these timeless principles, but it also makes our discussion more interesting, allowing us all to learn and grow together as we seek emotional independence and strength. The mirror of not being there. When you leave her with the only thing she can't get away from. At first, it might feel like freedom to her, no more stress, but it's really just the opposite. I want to know what you're thinking more. She doesn't have to deal with conversations that make her feel bad, but that feeling doesn't last because she has no one to blame or argue with, so she's left to sit in silence and stare at herself. That reflection can be painful because it shows how cold she was, how far away she put herself, and all the things she justified. When no one is around to react to them, they start to look different in the heat of the moment. Without you there to take in her anger, respond to her feelings, and play your part in the story she told herself, she has to face the truth. Maybe you weren't perfect, but maybe she wasn't either. That's the power of your silence. It's not just an absence, it's a reflection. Every day you stay quiet and focus on yourself, that reflection gets clearer, and eventually she sees the man you really were, the man who showed up, the man who cared, the man who chose to walk away with dignity instead of begging for attention. A Stoic man doesn't need to prove his worth. He doesn't chase validation. He knows his value comes from how he lives, how he handles loss and rejection with calmness and control. Your silence becomes a sign of your self-respect. Your absence becomes the mirror that shows her exactly what she lost, a man who was steady, grounded, and rare in a world full of noise. Let her be alone with herself, and let time and quiet do what they do best. Because when a man with self-respect leaves, the void he leaves behind can teach her lessons that words could never do, and she'll know it whether she tells you or not. 4. The weight of what you're leaving behind, the clarity it brings, and the fact that some guys can't be replaced. How heavy what was. Memories don't come at her all at once. They sneak up on her without warning. It could be a song playing in a cafe that she forgot was about you until the first note plays, or it could be the faint scent of your cologne on a jacket she hasn't worn since you left. Even the places you used to go together that seemed normal at the time feel different now that she's by herself. That's how memories work. They're quiet at first, like whispers in the background, but the longer you're gone, the louder they get. Every reminder takes her back to you and the version of herself she was when she was with you. and she starts to feel the difference between then and now. A man with a strong Stoicism knows that memories are a part of life, but they don't make you who you are. They don't hold on to the past or try to change it, and they don't torture themselves with them. What are ifs you accept. What was you learn from it, and you keep moving forward with purpose and clarity. You know that no memory, no matter how sweet, is worth sacrificing your peace. But for her, it's different. Memories aren't just thoughts. They become weights. They carry the emotions. She once tried to suppress the moments she took for granted, the little things she never thought she'd miss until they were gone. And the more time passes, the more valuable. What you gave her starts to feel your presence, your steadiness, the way you handled life. All of it starts to shine in comparison to what she's left with. Now that's the beauty of stepping back with grace. You don't have to prove your worth. Time and memories do it for you, and while you're out there growing, becoming even stronger, more grounded, more in tune with yourself, she's left facing the truth that real connection doesn't fade with silence. It grows heavier. Let her feel it. Let those memories catch up with her one by one, because a man who leaves with quiet strength isn't forgotten. He's remembered in every silent moment, every familiar place, every unexpected memory that reminds her exactly what she lost. As we explore the lingering impact of memories and the silent power they wield, it's crucial to reflect on how these experiences shape us. If this segment has sparked a thought, a memory, or a realization in you, I invite you to share your insights in the comments below. How have memories affected your journey? Your reflections not only help you understand more, but they also show others how important it is to look at memories with a calm mind. Connect with us. Let us know what you think, and let's find out together how silence and reflection can change our lives. Fifth, curiosity turns into restlessness. The less she knows, the more her mind works against her. What's he doing? Is he thinking about me? Has he already moved on? These questions don't come at her all at once. They creep in when the noise around her dies down late at night, when no one is there to distract her. The absence you created, the silence you left behind, becomes a blank space in her mind that she can't help but fill. The truth is, the less she knows, the more she wants to know. Her imagination runs wild. A tough guy knows this. There's strength in quiet. You're not playing games when you're silent. You're just living your life without needing approval. Silence isn't a strategy. It's a sign of your self-respect. But for her, silence is noise. Every time she checks her phone and nothing from you, she starts to wonder, is he missing me? Is he out with someone new? Why isn't he trying to fix this? You become the mystery she can't solve. In a world addicted to updates, where everyone overshares every thought and feeling, you become something rare. The man she can't check up on. There's no ending. There's only silence, and that silence speaks louder than any words you could have said. This is the strength of a man who is calm. You know that your worth doesn't depend on what you prove to her. It lies in how you act in the calm, the quiet, the way you disappear with grace and confidence. Let her wonder. Let her sit in the uncertainty, because a man who is at peace with himself doesn't have to explain his absence. It speaks for itself. Number 6. Her illusion of power breaks. She thought she was in charge at first. She thought you'd wait around. She was looking at your phone for clues because she thought that the weight of her silence would make you lose your cool, and tried desperately to win her back. That's the story that so many women tell themselves to make themselves feel like they have all the power. That your feelings depend on their attention, but when you go away for good without giving a reason or trying to prove anything, reality hits her in a way she didn't expect. The control she thought she had starts to slip, And every day you stay quiet, that illusion of power falls a little more. A stoic man isn't anyone's emotional puppet. As a man who lives by stoic principles, you don't dance for attention or chase after approval. You're your own anchor, steady in the storm. You know that your value doesn't come from other people's approval. It comes from how you show up for yourself with discipline, purpose, and quiet confidence. And when she realizes she can't control you anymore, when she sees that her silence doesn't break you, when she realizes that her absence doesn't shake you, that's when the pain starts. Because control wasn't just about power, it was about comfort, knowing you were still there, still affected, still waiting. That gave her a sense of security. But now that security is gone, you've become the man she can't read, the one she can't predict, the one she no longer has control, and that hurts more than any argument or harsh word. Because there's nothing more unsettling than realizing someone who used to care no longer reacts. You don't have to show how strong you are by speaking out. Your silence does it for you. Your detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. You are no longer dependent on her praise, and that freedom makes you the one thing she never expected. The man who ran away and never came back. How has taking a step back changed the way you talk to each other? How have the Stoic ideals helped you become independent? Please let me know what you think in the comments. If this message calls to you, join the conversation or just type freedom in silence. Let's look into the deep effects that real emotional freedom can have on our lives. The world goes on without her. She thought you'd stop what you were doing. The world goes on without her. She thought that you'd be paralyzed by her absence, stuck in an endless loop of wondering what went wrong. But a stoic man flows with life. They don't fight change, they embrace it. They evolve and grow. They adapt, not out of spite or to send a secret message. They do it because it's who they are. Life moves on without her. They don't hold on to a past that no longer serves them. They don't replay old conversations in their minds trying to rewrite history. They learn from it. They own their part. They walk on head high and heart steady. Your growth isn't fake or meant to get her attention. It's just the natural result of a man who values himself too highly to stay the same. And when she finally looks back to see where she left you, all she sees is your back. But you're not waiting. You're not even standing still. You're further ahead than she ever thought possible. That's what Stoic strength is all about. Moving with purpose, staying calm and having the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't need to be seen to know his own worth. Your worth isn't shown by being picked, but by how you act when you're not. Let her watch, wonder, and realize too late that the man she left behind is now the man she can't reach. There's nothing more powerful than being the man who grew up without her, not to win her back, but because you never needed her in the first place. Her ego fights with her. Her pride keeps her strong, even though her ego fights her heart. At first, she tells herself that she's fine and maybe even better off without you. In her mind, walking away was a sign of strength, so she tells herself that you'll be the one who regrets it, who struggles in silence, and who eventually comes back to fix what she broke. But pride has its limits, and time wears down all defenses. That initial strength she felt, that confidence in her decision starts to crumble under the weight of your silence. As the days turn into weeks, her pride turns into a jail that traps her with her own unresolved feelings every time you stay calm and quiet. A man who is calm doesn't care who wins the battle between her heart and her ego. That's her battle to fight, not yours. It doesn't matter if her heart finally breaks and feels the weight of losing you or her pride. stands tall, tall and unwilling to bend. That doesn't bother you. Her inner struggle isn't your job and never was. You don't punish her with silence. You use it to protect yourself. This isn't a game. It's not about teaching her a lesson or making her miss you. It's about keeping your peace, your honor, and your attention on the only thing you can really control: yourself. Your silence is the shield that keeps your energy intact. It's where your self-respect lives. That's the strength of a Stoic man. They don't need a result to validate them. They don't chase closure. They don't lose sleep over her feelings. They just walk forward calmly with their head held high, because in the end, the man who can master himself, his emotions, his need for control, and his hunger for answers is the man who wins, not because he beat her, but because he never had to. Please share your ideas or insights in the comments below, whether your trip has made you more independent or changed the way you see things. Your life experiences are important. Let's talk about how strong it is to focus on yourself and stay calm during the rough times of interpersonal dynamics. The force of sorrow that can't be stopped as time goes on, even her strongest reasons for leaving that are based on regret, start to fall apart. When she first started, she was firm. She had her list of reasons why leaving made sense. In the beginning, she may have told herself that you weren't right for her, or that she needed time to find herself. Those reasons stuck in her mind because they made her feel in charge, confident, and even proud of her choice. But time has a way of softening even the strongest beliefs. It seems like the longer you don't say anything, the more she changes the story in her head. The flaws she was focusing on become less clear, and the good parts become more clear. Comes to the surface the comfort you gave her, the stability you gave her, and the way you made her feel seen in a way that no one else has. This is where a Stoic man knows that impression is everything, and when you fade away with quiet strength, without anger or trying to change the past or make things fit your version of events, her mind does the work for you. You don't have to argue your worth or make your case. Never-ending time is yours the best ally. As the days turn into weeks and the weeks into months, she can't ignore the quiet where you used to be. And in that silence, the story changes. You're no longer the man she told herself was easy to leave. You become the man she wasn't ready to lose. It's the heaviest thing a person can carry, and it stays with them in the quiet moments, in the memories that won't go away, and in the knowledge that you were the rare type of man who didn't beg, break, or lose himself trying to hold on to someone who let go. You walked away with grace, and that grace is what haunts her the most. A Stoic man doesn't need to chase closure or force anyone to see his value. They trust that your absence combined with your quiet self. Respect says more than any words you could use. Let time do what it does best, and let her rewrite the story in her own mind. If she feels sorrow, that's between her and herself, not you. 10. Because of lack. Lack changes things. Want. Desire doesn't grow when you're always available, and it doesn't thrive when you're always showing her how valuable you are or telling her how great you are. Desire starts when you're not there, in the empty place where you used to be. It grows when you're hard to find and almost mythical. A Stoic man doesn't try to be seen or be valued. He knows that true value isn't declared, it's felt when he's not there. When a man lives with purpose and is grounded in who he is, his presence becomes a privilege rather than a guarantee, and when something is scarce, it becomes valuable. By being an open book, you could let her ignore you. People expected you to be there and assumed you would be available. There was no surprise. She had no room for longing or imagination before you left, but now that you're gone, everything changes. Suddenly, she has to want what she can't have, and her mind starts to fill in the blanks about who you are, where you're with, and why you're so happy without her. Uncertainty creates tension, and tension creates desire. This is where your Stoicism sets you apart from the crowd. You had the strength to pull away and live fully on your own terms. You don't pull away to punish her. You pull away to honor yourself. Your worth comes from your discipline to stop caring about other people and focus on your own growth. Don't be a man whose worth depends on other people's attention. Let her feel the void. Let her wonder. Let her experience what life is like without you giving yourself so freely. Because a man who can walk away and disappear into his own life without being angry is the man who becomes unforgettable not for what he gave, but for what he took with him when he left. 11th, the tough victory, not moved. The Stoic victory. Unmoved, unbothered, unbothered. The most powerful thing isn't making her miss you. It's realizing you never needed her in the first place. This is the change most men never make. They spend so much time trying to make her regret their absence that they forget to do the real work. Becoming the man who no longer cares whether she remembers or forgets at all, because the truth is, her reaction, her regrets, her path after you, none of that ever belonged to you, whether she breaks under the weight of silence or moves on without a second thought, whether her pride keeps her cold or her heart finally softens, that's her journey, not yours. You were never meant to carry the burden of her emotions that was always hers to manage, just as your growth, your strength, your peace, those are yours to protect. Your path is clear to become the kind of man who stands firm, rooted so deeply in his own value that no one's presence inflates you and no one's absence shakes you. That's the core of true strength. Strength when your worth isn't dependent on her attention or her affection. You become untouchable. You become a man who walks away with grace, not to prove anything, but because your peace is too valuable to bargain with. This is Stoicism at its core. You control yourself, not the outcome you don't control. Whether she comes back, whether she misses you, or whether she realizes what she lost, you control how you respond, how you grow, how you stay grounded in your principles, no matter what life throws at you. And when you master that, when you truly understand that your worth was never tied to her choices or her feelings, you unlock a freedom most men never experience. You no longer need her to break for you to feel strong. You no longer need her regret to validate your value, because no matter how much time breaks her, you remain whole. As we wrap up today's exploration of silence and Stoicism, remember this conclusion. The power of your absence is not in the noise it makes, but in the quiet strength it represents. She thought it would be easy to walk away and enjoy the silence, but with each day that goes by, the memory of what was and what could have been gets louder in her life. This isn't because you wanted attention, but because you chose dignity over desperation. If this message spoke to you, or if you've seen the power of patience and self-respect in action, please hit the like button to support the channel. Feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your ideas and stories. How have you used being quiet to your advantage? What did it teach you about other people and yourself? Don't forget to subscribe for more on how Stoic principles can help us deal with the difficulties of personal relationships. Also, watch the videos on your screen for more tips on how to embrace solitude and make time your ally. Remember that letting time work for you isn't about being passive. It's about realizing that your strength comes from within, not from what other people say about you. Let time heal her, and let your quiet say a lot.